What's up, everybody? And today we are reacting to every single Warhammer 40k faction explained part 2. But for me, this is actually part 4 because I broke it down a little bit more. This is by Bricky. Obviously, Bricky is one of the most talented Warhammer creators out there when it comes to the lore. So I'll leave a link down below to his channel and his video. Please go over to his channel, like his video, subscribe to his channel, turn on notifications for his channel, because I am literally watching him on Twitch right now with him muted, obviously, so you guys don't hear it, because I'm a big fan of his content. I'm a big fan of the way that he explains all of these different factions, and it's really getting me gripped on this world, or should I say universe. It's not really a world, it's millions of worlds or thousands of worlds, and it's getting me interested, and especially to find out exactly what faction I want to choose. Right now I am there's a lot: Imperial Guard, Space Wolves, Grey Knights, they're so cool, and the Tau. So there's 4 now. I might swap out the Space Wolves for the Grey Knights. I'm not too sure yet. But anyway, let's shut up. In fact, before I actually react to it, I'm going to do the same as what I did in the last video and pull up all the Warhammer factions, just so that I remember exactly the names for them all, because I do forget, because I've got a memory like a sieve. I got hit in the head way too many times in the military, and yeah, it's hard for me to remember this stuff. Okay, so let me just quickly pull this up. There we go. My boys are up. Okay, all right, let's shut up. Let's pull this up, and let's react to some Bricky.
Hey all, this is part 2 in a 2-part series on the Warhammer races. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, we do the Imperium of Man. You can check that out in the description, and I would highly recommend you watch that to get context for this episode.
I'll actually leave a video to that one as well down below, just in case anyone's watching this for the first time and hasn't reacted to that one. His whole video, that whole one, was all about the human race, and they're not really human anymore, let's be honest. The Imperium of Man. And yeah. This second part's not. So if you want to watch that, head over to his first video. I'll leave a link down below for that one as well.
If you already have, go ahead and keep on watching. So after an entire episode of nothing but humans, we can now talk about chaos, which involves humans again, but a little bit less. We also got demons and shit.
I just felt someone grab my ass.
What?
Like hard, Nick.
So, as I've mentioned many times before, we've discussed the warp, the immaterium, the hellish landscape, the purgatory dimension realm between the material realm of our existence.
Quick question about the warp. So it's like a second dimension to the real world, right? Obviously I'm a big fan of stuff like D&D, and there's multiple dimensions in D&D. There's multiple layers to reality. Is it in Warhammer 40k? Is it just like reality and the warp, or is there more than that? Is there more kind of dimensions and realities and all that good stuff? Let me know in the comments down below.
Now, in the warp, it's terrifying, horrible. There are demons everywhere. Things are crazy. All your minds and thoughts and emotions get projected there. It is both formless and empty. It is vast and tiny. It obeys the laws of time and physics while simultaneously does absolutely nothing of the sort. It is a hodgepodge and a culmination of just unknowable, eldritch, horrifying shit.
That sounds horrific. It also sounds very cosmic horror, which I'm a big fan of. Which is actually, I'm writing some cosmic horror right now, guys, and I'm really excited to show it you guys. But yeah, it's very cosmic horror, and I think that's right up my alley. Again, another Warhammer thing that I'm on board with, guys. This might be the one. Like, SCP was like amazing for me because it's like really my thing. But Warhammer's tickling that itch even more than SCP, and I didn't think that would be a thing. Even though I still love SP, and I still watch a lot of the videos for that in my downtime.
And there are 4 gods that permeate in chaos and the warp. These are the 4 major chaos gods. And if we wish to learn about chaos, we need to learn about each and every single one of these chaos gods. First up, we have Khorne, and he is the easiest. Khorne is your classic Satan. He is all about anger, murder, fighting, blood, guts, death. You ever heard the term blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne? That's Khorne. The whole idea is that he is all about the fury and strength of battle. He doesn't care where blood comes from, so long as blood is flowing.
So there's 4 demons or 4 gods. Do they each have a faction each, or how does that work? I'm interested in that.
He wants to fight and murder and carnage and slaughter and death, 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 death. That is Khorne. Very simple to understand. Next up, you have Tzeentch, and Tzeentch is the god of change. However, the god of change, it's permeates in so many different other ways. He's the most eldritch of all the demon gods. He has this weird way to always be plucking at the strings of the universe. He's always conniving and scheming and doing his best to cause as much little bullshit as he can.
I'm about that. I like that. I like that. And you can see a little bit of influence of your cosmic horror in there as well from your kind of HP Lovecraft Cthulhu. Which reminds me, these 4 gods, can you put these 4 gods on the battlefield? Is that like a thing? Can you get the figures and put them on the battlefield? Or is that like a strict no-go? They would destroy everything. Let me know in the comments.
Tzeentch is unknowable. Everything that makes sense, he will and won't do. Every future and setting and every type of destiny or fate is all foretold and also changeable. It is set in stone while also completely random. He knows what everything is going to happen and also that none of it's going to happen. You would ask Tzeentch a question. That question leads to 3 more questions. And those questions lead to the heat death of the universe, which asks 4 answers to those questions. And then he thinks to himself, what are questions even really? And are you even asking the questions? Or are you simply giving paths to answers?
I love Bricky's editing's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
And other horseshit. Tzeentch is just, I'm gonna fuck with stuff. He is yes and he is no. He is the understanding and he is complexity. He is unknowable. And that's what the god of change is about. Very bizarre. And he likes birds a lot. I don't know why. Next up we got Papa Nurgle. Papa Nurgle, he loves you.
Where has my camera gone, you cheeky little bugger? I don't know what happened there, but let's just hope it doesn't happen again and pretend it never happened. My camera just randomly switched off. Oh, geez.
You for who you are. Probably not. He
Papa
will murder you
Nurgle.
just the same. But Papa Nurgle is about rot, pestilence, death, and decay. He is the end of everything. Him and Tzeentch do not like each other very much because where Tzeentch represents change and adjustment, Nurgle represents stagnation and death. He is all about miasma and pestilence and large bloat and pus and organs and people just being sedentary, sloth.
I don't know if I like this one. This one's really gruesome and gross. I don't know if I like this one.
He is the idea that everything will rot and decay and die. Nothing is certain besides decay and death. All of us will end up the same way, and broken down through just sheer never-ending
It's just turned the legs green.
So the joke that Nurgle always loves you is generally because of that, because we all end up the same. We all rot, and we all die and wither. That's Nurgle, and he's got a general theme of course, pestilence and different kinds of diseases and sickness and things of that nature. That's generally Nurgle. He's pretty easy to understand as well, and he chunk. Finally, we have
Chunk. Oh my god, look at this one. He's blurred out all the rude parts of this picture and then also done it to himself.
have the youngest of the Chaos Gods, and that is Slaanesh, also known as the Prince of Pleasure or the God of Unspeakable Excess. Slaanesh is generally referred to with sex, but it's not only sex, it's just that's a good avenue if you want to make stuff. Slaanesh is just the idea of the senses of the body being cranked to not just 11, but more like 17.
I'm on board with this one. I like this one.
See, we'll discuss Slaanesh a little bit more when we talk about the Eldar, because they done fucked up, but it, or whatever, is mainly about just the excess of emotions. And therefore, sex is generally a large part of it. However, it's mostly pain and torture. Lots of pain, torture, but sometimes sexually related.
So like they entice you with the good stuff and then destroy you with the horrible stuff.
Or drug related, lots of drugs. Lots of drugs. Slaanesh gets off on everything. Extremes in happiness, extremes in sadness, extremes in pain and sadism and masochism. And of course that goes along with the sex part of it as well. It's generally referred to with sex because of the color scheme, very purple, lots of exposed genitalia. A lot of their models have like exposed nipples and stuff. And that is generally the theme you go for from a physical side, but it really embodies everything. Mainly pain and also the excessive amounts of emotion.
So I like the manipulating one, I think it's Zeke, and I like this one. I think them two are the coolest ones.
When it comes down to it, you'll find a lot of them have things like spikes or whips or any kind of BDSM style gear because it is unspeakable excess, the prince of pleasure, everything in excess to the point where it is just sheer frightening. That is Slaanesh in a nutshell. A little bit bizarre and a little hard to describe sometimes, but as we talk more about the Dark Eldar later in this video, you'll understand it far, far better and far more than you'd want to.
The Dark
Eldar. You might
Eldar.
be thinking, why would anyone ever want to join Chaos? They all look horrifying, screwed up, and just frightening things, right? Well, the thing is that, of course, one, your mind is put into the warp and the Immaterium, so you can be easily swayed by chaos demons when they get into your head, especially if you're a psyker. Sometimes regiments of the less mentally strong people, whether they be civilians or, say, low-level guardsmen or conscripts, can be easily swayed by this and become chaos cultists. And
oh, so that they manipulate people to join their cause, basically. I wonder if the Chaos Gods fight each other as well. Interesting.
Stuff, and they serve their dark gods and whatever god they personally refer.
That's cool.
However, and this might seem strange, chaos in their own right isn't necessarily evil. See, the warp is every manifestation of emotion and being, every soul, everything of existence. This includes all the good things. All the different chaos gods have another side to their coin. Khorne might be death, murder, slaughter, slaughter, but he's also got this weird sense of survival of the fittest, trial by combat, and honor. Khorne will never lie to you. Khorne will never stab you in the back. Khorne isn't about conniving and scheming. Khorne is about straight up mano-y-mano, you versus me, get in the ring, we're gonna murder each other hard right now.
Well, that's why they're called Chaos then, and not just like, I don't know, evil or hell, because chaos isn't necessarily a bad thing. I like it. I like this concept, how they're all demons, but there's another side to them.
It may not be a good thing at the end of the day, but it is that other side of the coin.
Him
and Tzeentch generally don't get along because Tzeentch is that conniving schemer, but he's also about the idea of hope. Where there is change for your predicament. There is change for your problem.
I like
the hope of the galaxy, the ability to bend the world to your will, the idea that your fate is not set in stone, but in reality that you control your own destiny and can control it whenever you want, the changer of ways. That is Tzeentch. And of course, Tzeentch and Nurgle hate each other because while Nurgle does represent stagnation, death, and decay, he also represents finality. An ending, the fact that you can be mentally at peace,
that you come
knowing
to an
that
end.
You will end and how you will end.
This is
fear
so
of the
smart.
Unknown, fear of change is not present with Nurgle. With Nurgle, everything will rot and die, and that provides that finality, that ability that this is over. We are all the same, and we will all end the same. We know the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to live and die and rot. And with that, it brings peace of mind.
I like it. I think that's really cool. I think this is such a cool concept, these Chaos Gods. I'm actually really enjoying learning more about these Chaos Gods in general.
Slaanesh is a lot more simple. While they are the excess of emotion, they are also the representation of emotion. Slaanesh embodies happiness. Slaanesh embodies excitement and joy and pleasure, not only in the sense of the physical, you know, bam style of pleasure, but also everything else like food and drink and air on your cheek and sunlight, the feeling, emotion and feeling. All of that is also represented with Slaanesh. So you have to ask, why are they always represented as super evil skulls and spikes on everything and want to murder everybody? I don't really got an answer for you on that one. My assumption is that because mentally humans may think worse thoughts, even if we don't act on them, and therefore they're projected in the warp more. That one's a little bit weird. I don't know. This is me.
A lot of philosophy going on in this. Like, the Warhammer has really thought this through a lot on how they're gonna kind of. At the end of the day, Space Marines and the Imperium, like humans in general in this universe, are not necessarily good people. So to have like your traditional evil, you can't really have that, can you? So they've made this chaos, these chaos gods that embody these things that you would consider evil, and they kind of look evil, but they're not necessarily evil. They're just a expression of reality. Does that make sense? I really like this. Very cosmic horror in a sense that's fantastic.
Spitballing right now, but I don't know. You need a super bad guy. You already got the Imperium of Man. You need somebody to be a little bit worse than them.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Demons. Honestly, who cares?
I literally just said exactly what I said. You need someone to be worse, but they're not necessarily making them bad people. They're just making them different.
I just want to buy like a bird magician. Look at him.
It's cool.
So cool.
It's cool.
So combining all this together on the tabletop, Chaos Demons are generally very melee based. They run in, go really hard. You have lots of summoning and conjuring, tons of spells. Generally a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons. You got hordes of little boys and tons of big guys. Demons are as they seem. Demons. Nurgle is slow. Khorne is super scary in melee. You've got Tzeentch, who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then Slaanesh, who is all melee, really, really, really fast but squishy, but in lots of hordes of tons of melee and pain damage, of course. So overall, the demons are a huge part of 40k and a massive threat to almost every single faction, with the exception of a couple. However, the big part about demons is also transferred into the other 9 Primarchs we didn't talk about, which are the Chaos Space Marines.
Okay, let's learn about the Chaos Space Marines and then we'll call it a day. Chaos
so Horse and all of his boys, all of them in the Primarchs, they have all also become Chaos Boys.
Interesting.
And they all have their own special Chaos
I wonder how they turn into the Chaos.
So many different things, just like the Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death, the regular Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines aren't a whole lot different than the regular Space Marines. They have the same armor, generally the same training and toughness. They just specialize in different kinds of things.
I wonder what the conversion was, what made them tip to Chaos Marines. Is there any books or any kind of lore on that? Can you let me know in the comments down below? Because that tipping point, what pushes people from being a Space Marine to a Chaos Marine, must be really interesting.
And also a lot of the Primarchs have ascended into greater demons? They're demon Primarchs at this point. Gigantic, horrifying man-demon hybrids.
That's awesome.
That are pretty awesome, if I'm going to be honest. They look really, really cool. But them and their associated legions that they are a part of are all kind of going out there and causing a large ruckus for everyone else. Considering the raw strength and firepower of a legion of Space Marines, imagine that entire legion just converting to chaos and immediately fighting you. It's generally pretty horrifying. There's a lot of them, so I got to write them down. But you've got the Emperor's Children with Primarch Fulgrim, loyal to Slaanesh. These people, they are some messed up people. They're just sensory overload, tons of drugs, tons of torture. And I think Fulgrim is a demon Primarch right now, and oh god, I am terrified to see what that man looks like, at least on the tabletop, because Emperor's Children are not good people. You've got the Iron Warriors, which are kind of like opposite of the Imperial Fists, with Primarch Perturabo, I believe is his name. They're Chaos Undivided. They just kind of serve chaos in a general aspect instead of choosing one of the 4. But the Iron Warriors are big on the siege and fortification, and they're basically entirely against the Imperial Fists and are a major rival. Perturabo, I believe, is also still alive, and I'm also very interested to see what he looks like, because Demon Primarchs are badass. You've got the Night Lords with Primarch Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz is dead, which is good because he's a sick fuck. But the Night Lords are generally about...
When he says the dead, are they dead in the lore? Like, what? How? When did they die? Like, is it like every time a book releases or something like that, the lore of the whole game gets updated and you're not allowed to use that figure anymore? Like, what does he mean by he's dead now? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, are you not, like, if he's dead in the lore, like, are you done with, you can't use that figure anymore, you have to figure something else out? Let me know in the comments how that works, because that's interesting.
Terrorizing people and terrorism. They're generally about fear, and rightly so. You've got the World Eaters with Primarch Angron still alive, also excited to see. Angron, If you think you've known an angry person, Angron is the angriest son of a bitch you will ever know. Angron removed parts of his brain that didn't make him angry, so he could be angrier. Angron. Fucker's mad. You've got the Death Guard with Primarch Mortarion. They actually have their own special codex and their own major army on the tabletop. Mortarion himself is actually one of the models, and look at him. Look at him.
That is amazing. Also, that painting. Whoever did that, holy crap.
It's so cool looking.
Yeah,
of course,
it is.
Nurgle based, obviously. So very slow, but very tanky. You've got the Word Bearers with Primarch Lorgar. Lorgar is, I believe, still alive. I don't know what's up with him at the current moment, but the Word Bearers are generally the people who caused all the major problems in the beginning.
Where are these updates coming from? I'd love to, like, it feels like I need to catch up to all this lore, only for it to be constantly changing. I don't know who's dead, who's alive, or what. Like, how do I catch up and how do I find out what's the current affairs in Warhammer 40k? Like, how do I catch up? There's just so much.
At least I blame them for it. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch Horus.
Ooh.
Get fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch Alfarius Omega.
Wait, is that the same Horus as in the Horus Heresy?
Chaos,
Let me go back.
Nerd. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch Horus. Get fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch.
Oh, I don't know what that
Alfarius
inside joke
Omegon,
is, but I'm interested.
Chaos, I think. And then finally, you've got the Thousand Sons with Primarch Magnus the Nerd. The Thousand Sons also have their own book, just like the Death Guard. Magnus is also a tabletop model. He looks super cool, as you can tell. And they're all super heavily Psyker and kind of Egyptian themed. They look pretty neat. But overall, with all of these Chaos Space Marine factions, you can play as a lot of different ones, but the main ones that you can really work at are standard Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, as well as the Death Guard and Thousand Sons, as they are the most fleshed out, especially on the tabletop at least. See this right here? This is a really good way to describe the Chaos Space Marines. What the thick-headed fools with their broken corpse of an emperor fail to understand is that not only can they never defeat us, but they cannot hide or flee or shield themselves from the triumph of chaos. They are finite and we are unbound, undivided. They must not err, or they shall fall to heresy. All who fall join our cause. Every imperial fool who dares to open his eyes is a willing recruit. They strive merely to hold back our fury and might, and it consumes them. Thus, you can see chaos is inevitable. We lurk not only beyond their grasp and at their gates, we lurk within the darkness of their souls, on the tip of their tongues, in their tortured dreams. We are them, but freed from the shackles of ignorance. We are them, grown strong, evolved. We are them, but so much more.
Holy crap, that is so cool. It's as if this might, like the readouts he does, this might be the coolest one, because you know that the Emperor is kind of a false god and the religion there's against what he wanted, but it's happened. So the Chaos Marines, even though they are bad as well, they have a point at some, like he is like not a real god and he's false and he's falling apart and I love the contrast between this is why Game of Thrones did so well in the mainstream public, is because you get all these fantasy tropes, the good versus evil, you know, Frodo Baggins, the pure goodness, and you know the dark evil entities in Middle Earth. You have that contrast, and you have that in most things. You have Harry Potter, innocent, good, Voldemort, bad. Game of Thrones did well where they mixed it, where there was no good or bad. It's more realistic. There is no good or bad. In Warhammer, it's as if everybody's bad, but a lot of them have a good point about why the other person is worse than they are. Does that make sense? So it's like, it's as if everybody's bad, but everyone's like, yeah, but they're worse. And then they're like, actually, no, you're worse because of this. And then no one's on top. Everyone's just bad. You get what I'm saying? And I love that concept.
As hardcore as that quote is, the saddest part is they're mostly right. Chaos is basically unkillable.
Yeah.
You could probably get rid of Space Marines, a decent amount, the Chaos Space Marines that is, but every soul that dies goes to the warp. Every Chaos soul
so they're invincible.
will end up back in the warp.
Yeah.
And depending on how hard you killed them, they will come back at some point. Every demon you banish will return at some point. Chaos
That's another concept that's very similar to the Stormlight Archives, especially with the Parshendi that die and then they come back. Well, not just Parshendi, but the Seekers. Anyway, I digress. But the idea of like immortality makes the fight against them hopeless. So cool.
Is unstoppable. The warp is unending. And while maybe there is at some point some way to stop them somehow, the resources to do so, the requirements to do so, are so far beyond the reaches of man and the other races at the current moment that really it's just an unstoppable force that just keeps on coming and is just barely being slowed. Chaos is by far the biggest threat. They are without number, their legions are everywhere, and yeah, they're pretty scary.
Yeah.
So, I promise, we're done with humans now. Let's talk about some Xenos.
Alright, we're gonna end it there, guys. Amazing. Bricky does amazing as per usual. I'm learning more about the lore and I love it. I feel like baby steps, but I feel like I really want to catch up to the current affairs so I can know what's going on all the time. But I feel like I have to read like 50 books of Horus Heresy before I can do that. Like, how do I catch up and know what's going on without having to read a million books? Is that a thing? Can I do that? I want to read the books, but it's going to take me a long time and I want to know what's going on now in the 40k universe. So how do I go about that? Let me know in the comments down below how that works and how I can figure that out, because I am loving this. I'm loving it. As per usual, there'll be a link down below to Bricky's video. Please go over to his video, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff, because his videos are outstanding. Members, you're amazing. I love you. I couldn't do this without you. I honestly couldn't make videos every single day if it wasn't for these members right here. So thank you for supporting the channel as much as you do. I really do appreciate it. Links down below to all my socials, including the 2 links to Discord. We've got the military link for all things military. Join if you're getting fit for the military or joining the military. Join that Discord. Second link for all things geeky like Warhammer, SCP, D&D, Halo, Star Wars, Metro, all that good stuff. Join the Geek Discord. Also, link down below to my podcast and my Twitch stream, where I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And also my second channel, Original Human Geek, where we upload some awesome stuff like D&D, which, again, I've told you once before, I'll tell you again, I am going to be doing the next campaign for the D&D. It's my own original story. I'm very excited, so please go over to the Geek channel, subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and all that good stuff. That's it. Until next time, guys, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.